I just found out that I'm pregnant, but my husband, Jake, didn't say a word when his mom, Linda, started demanding I prove he's the father.
I'm writing this because I can't keep it inside anymore, and I need to talk to someone.
I've been crying for hours, so scared and drained, I don't even know where to begin.
I can't talk to anyone I know about this, and I feel like I'm losing my mind.
I'm just posting here because Jake and his family don't know English, so this is the only place I can go where I can say what's on my mind. I found out I'm pregnant this morning, but I'm not even sure how far along I am. I told Jake right away, and he seemed happy at first. He said he was glad, but to be honest, I didn't feel the same. A little while after I told him, he left to go meet his parents. I opened the door later, and there was Linda standing there with him. He hadn't even told me she was coming. He knows I don't handle surprise visitors well, especially someone like her. This was only her second or third time coming to our apartment, but she acted like she owned the place. She told me to sit down, and my anxiety shot through the roof.
My heart was pounding. Everything felt so wrong.
I kept glancing at Jake, hoping he'd step in, but he didn't even look me in the eye. He was staring at the floor or his hands.
After Linda congratulated me, she immediately demanded a paternity test. It was too much.
She didn't say anything rude, but the way she said it made me feel like I was being accused of something terrible.
Like I was a liar.
I kept trying to get Jake to look at me, but he wouldn't. Linda noticed and told me to look at her, saying that her son wouldn't be helping me.
I was so scared. She started threatening me with lawyers she knew.
She said that if I was smart, I would go with her to the clinic tomorrow and take care of everything.
I felt completely trapped.
It was like she could do whatever she wanted, and Jake wasn't going to stop her. The worst part was that it felt like she had already crossed a line. Like she had control over my body, and Jake wouldn't do a thing to stop her.
In that moment, everything I felt for Jake just died.
After all the shock and fear, I was left with disgust.
I felt sick just sitting there.
Jake looked so pathetic, just sitting there, not saying a word to defend me.
I felt completely betrayed. I couldn't even look at him the same way anymore.
The only thing I managed to say to Linda was that I needed time to think.
She told me there was no need to think about it.
I told her I was shocked and needed time, but she said it was clear to her what needed to happen.
I felt like I was going to throw up.
I wanted to cry so badly, but I didn't. My voice was shaking, but I didn't let myself cry. She said she was sorry things had to be this way but gave me 3 days to figure it out. Jake stood up to see her out, not saying a word to me. He went with her to her car, and I was left alone.
As soon as they left, I just broke down. I was terrified.
I felt like they could just barge in and take the baby away from me if they wanted to, like they didn't care about me at all.
Did Jake always think I was cheating? Did they always think I was unfaithful?
I tried to throw up because I was crying so hard.
Why didn't Jake protect me? This isn't the man I married.
The last time I felt this unsafe was when I lived with my parents, and I promised myself I'd never feel that way again. I married Jake because I thought he would protect me, but he didn't. I still feel sick forever letting him touch me. When I heard him come back, I locked myself in the bathroom and haven't come out since.
He didn't say anything to me. I'm waiting for him to fall asleep so I can sleep on the couch.
I don't want to sleep in the same bed as him ever again. I'm not thinking clearly, but I want a divorce. I will never feel safe with him again, and I don't think I can love him anymore.
I'm sure of it.
I can't trust him to protect me.
I can't stay.
What scares me even more is that I want an abortion.
That was the first thing I Googled.
What's inside me is his, and it ties me to him and to Linda.
I just want it gone.
While I was crying, I scratched my stomach, and now it's all red and itchy. I can't even think about what's inside me without freaking out.
I just want it out. I want to feel safe again.
It feels cruel, but I don't feel bad about wanting a divorce. I'll lose the life I thought I'd have, and I'll lose all my friends, but I've done it before when I left my parents' house.
I can do it again. I don't feel anything for what's inside me. It just reminds me of Linda, and it scares me. I want it gone. I never thought about abortion before, and I've never been around pregnant people. Right now, I don't feel anything. Writing this out has helped me calm down, and now I have a bit of a plan. I'm not sure if I should move out first or go to the doctor first. I'm afraid they'll lock me up if they find out. This situation reminds me of when I left my parents, and now I'm feeling a little clearer. I'm not as panicked as I was before. I mostly feel numb, but I was crying a lot earlier. I guess that's it for now. I just want to sleep and get some rest. I need to go to work tomorrow. I think that might help, because I'll have an excuse to get out of the apartment. I don't feel safe here. Thank you for listening. I don't have anyone to talk to about this. Comments. One person suggested I get a paternity test, then get the abortion, and file for divorce. They warned me that if I do the abortion before the paternity test, they'll turn it against me. They said Jake is a coward, and Linda will twist everything to their advantage. Another person said the test is usually only done if you're about 9 weeks pregnant or more. I don't know how far along I am. My stomach is flat, and I've never felt sick. I've had pimples, cravings, soreness, and constant tiredness, but I'm not sure what week that all matches. I have insurance through work, but I'm scared to use it. I'm worried they'll find out. The test and doctor's visit are expensive, but I can afford it. What if I'm not 9 weeks? I don't want to wait. I want it gone. I don't care what anyone thinks. I just want it gone. Everything feels so overwhelming, and it feels like I can't focus on doctors, tests, and lawyers all at once. I'm not really sure what's going on with me, but everything feels off. Since I woke up on Monday, it's like I've been in a fog. Nothing feels real. I had a brief moment where I felt something when I talked to my husband, Mike, but it didn't last. It's almost like I'm not even here, just going through the motions. I'm doing things at work, at home, like a robot on autopilot. Maybe it's just because I've been crying a lot. Mike stayed in the bedroom Monday morning. He works from home if he wants, so I guess he chose to stay in. I ended up falling into this old habit I used to do when I was younger. I'd wake up and move around so quietly, like I didn't exist, so I wouldn't disturb anyone. I don't know why, but it feels like I'm stuck in that routine again, even now as an adult. So I went to work without saying anything. On the train, I started reading the comments people had left me. It really helped to know that others understand what I'm going through, so thank you. At work, I spent time reading and looking into clinics and paternity tests. Your advice has been really helpful, and I started putting a plan together. By noon on Monday, I had a lot of people telling me not to end the pregnancy. They said I was just reacting to everything because of trauma, and that I wasn't thinking clearly. When I'd go to the bathroom at work, I would rest my hands on my stomach, trying to feel something, but I didn't. I just feel numb. When I think about the pregnancy, all I can feel is disgust. I hate it, and I'm sorry for that. I also started looking at apartments because, even though I'm numb, I still want a divorce or at least a safe place to live on my own. I can afford to leave now. I can even live on my own, but I'll have to give up some luxuries, like my dance classes and getting my nails done. I won't be able to save money, but that's okay. I think the reason I'd been so scared to leave before is because when I left my parents' house, I had nothing. No money, no job, no diploma. I had to live in a tiny place with 3 other people, and even then, I didn't have enough money for food. Realizing that I can live on my own now has helped calm me down a little, but even with the divorce, I still feel numb. For now, my plan is to move out after we give the paternity test samples. I'll probably have to wait until next Monday or Tuesday when Mike goes to the office so I can pack up my things. I've had people tell me my reaction is traumatic and that Mike is a victim too, saying I'm being unfair to him. Some said my view of him is sexist, and that we need to talk. I was going to talk to him anyway, but reading those comments helped me figure out what I needed to say. I'm just too tired to go through the whole conversation again. I'll keep it short. If anyone wants to hear more, I'll try to write it out tomorrow during my commute. Here's the short version. I asked Mike if he thought I cheated. He said at first, no,
but my reaction to his mom made him think I did. I told him I was just scared. He said there was nothing to be scared of, but we argued, and it didn't go anywhere. I asked him why he didn't protect me and why he let Linda come into the house. I found out that Linda is paying for the apartment. I didn't know that, so she felt like she had the right to just show up whenever. That made me feel unsafe. I still feel unsafe, but I'm moving forward with my plan. Mike doesn't think his mom was doing anything wrong, and we ended up arguing over nothing. After these pointless arguments, and after reading comments about my expectations being unreasonable, I told Mike how I saw things. I told him about my past and how it's affected me. I had written this all down earlier, thinking I'd talk to him later, but I was angry, so I said it all right then. He barely responded, except when I mentioned Linda. He just said she wasn't abusive. He looked so tired. I laid out my terms. I agreed to the paternity test, but I told him I didn't want to see his mom. I don't want her in this apartment or alone with her. I said we'd go to all appointments together, but not with her. He agreed to that. That's all. I didn't bring up the divorce or my plans about the abortion. I don't feel safe talking about that yet. A lot of people said I should just go along with it, and that's what I've decided to do. I'm good at pretending. That night, Mike asked if I would come back to the bedroom or stay where I was while he took the couch. I couldn't stand the thought of sleeping in our bed again, so I told him no. I overheard him talking to Linda on the phone, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The next morning, I decided to take a break from the comments and focus on myself. I wanted to figure out how I really feel about being pregnant. Sadly, I still feel nothing. Even when I went to the doctor's office, nothing felt real. It was like I was watching someone else's life. The doctor gave me a bunch of papers, medications, diet restrictions, and a list of other doctors I need to see. But it all felt so foreign to me, like a fake game. I don't think what I'm feeling is normal, but it helps me stay clear-headed, so I'm not worried about it. I've decided to give Mike until Monday to do anything, to apologize or talk to me. If he doesn't, I'll definitely file for divorce. As for the pregnancy, I'm not going to do anything until I move out. I missed the chance for the abortion pill, and anything after that feels too invasive. I don't feel anything for this pregnancy right now, and I'll just have to see if that changes. That's the plan. I still feel anxious thinking about seeing Linda again. I'm scared. But Mike says he can keep her away until the paternity results come in, so I'm not sure if my fears are reasonable. I don't know what else to add. I probably forgot something, and I'll reply to comments tomorrow. I just want to thank everyone for all their support. It really helped because all my friends are his friends, so I couldn't talk to anyone. Seeing all the support has given me the courage to keep going. Update 2. Hey, everyone. It's been a while, and I just want to say thanks again for all the support. I'm sorry it took me so long to update. Things have been happening so quickly, and I've been way too tired to write anything. The main reason I didn't update wasn't just the family drama, but also my job. My boss didn't give me a single day off, so I've been working late into the evenings and weekends. December is always a busy time at work, so it's been exhausting. To keep it short, I'm no longer pregnant. I moved into a really expensive apartment by myself, but I'm not legally divorced yet. I lost all my friends, but I'm okay. I don't want to make this long, so I'm not going to repeat what I wrote in the deleted update. I might copy and paste it in the comments if anyone's interested. It's been a lot to process, and I'll try to stay active in the comments to answer questions because I feel like I owe you all that after everything you've done for me. To sum it up, I decided to stay with Mike and play along until I find a new place and get the paternity test done. So, here's the deal. My husband, Mark, and I had a conversation about everything that's happened. He didn't take responsibility for his mom's actions. He told me that I was making myself seem guilty, which really threw me off. And then, to make things worse, I found out that his mom has been paying for our apartment. Now, Mark makes enough money to cover it all on his own, but he let his mom pay the rent so he could have extra money to spend on whatever he wants. That made me feel incredibly unsafe, and I found out he's been lying too. Mark promised me I wouldn't have to see his mom again, but he broke that promise. When we went to the doctor together, everything was supposed to be fine. But when I showed up at the clinic, Mark wasn't there. Instead, his mom was waiting for me. I was completely caught off guard. I felt like I lost control of my emotions, so I called Mark, crying. He tried to convince me he hadn't broken his promise because it wasn't an official doctor's visit, just a simple blood test. But I was there, all alone, with his mom, crying in front of the nurses. They didn't talk to me, just to her, making faces when I made any noise. Looking back, I understand why they acted that way. I probably looked like a young, irresponsible girl who got herself into trouble. And I couldn't stop the way I was acting. The whole situation was just too much for me to handle. Later on, I found out his mom even paid for the test. I still don't get why. Mark has the money to pay for it himself. When we got home, Mark told me that I acted totally out of line and that he was ashamed of me. He said it was because he couldn't invite his mom over now. That hurt, but at the same time, it made me feel like I was making the right decision. It snapped me out of my panic and gave me the clarity I needed to realize I had to move on with my life. A divorce was the only thing that made sense. In my last update, I mentioned that I didn't feel like I was really there, that all of this was happening to someone else. People suggested that I might be dissociating, and honestly, that sounds pretty accurate. It got to the point where I couldn't even take a day off work, and I made mistakes because I wasn't in my right mind. But at the same time, dissociating felt better than being trapped in constant panic and anxiety. That was how I'd been feeling for weeks. I thought things would calm down after the paternity results came back, but I was wrong. Once they found out I was telling the truth, it only got worse. Carol, my mother-in-law, pretty much moved in with us. It was unbearable. She would text me constantly, asking when I was going to be home, and I hated it. Honestly, I was thankful that my job kept me so busy. It gave me an excuse to be away from her. I'm used to working long hours, especially in December, so that kept her from constantly bugging me. But when I was home, it was a different story. She was always there, lurking. It felt like I couldn't even breathe. She would wait outside the bathroom, knocking when I took too long. Mark kept saying that she just wanted to show me she cared because she thought I looked troubled. But it never felt that way. It just made me feel worse, like I couldn't escape her. She started cleaning, cooking, and doing everything in the house, but there was no kindness behind it. She also insisted that I sleep in the same bed as Mark, and those nights were the worst part. I don't want to relive any of it. Thank God, after about a week and a half, I packed my things and left. But because of the new year, rent is crazy high. I can't afford to stay in the apartment I'm renting now long term. If I can hang in there until the spring, I'll be able to find something more affordable, but it won't be as cheap as something I could rent later in the summer. I'll just have to wait and see. When I left, I only took the most important things. Most of my clothes, my books, and some small items I care about stayed behind. Honestly, I'm okay with that. When I moved, I texted Mark, telling him I wasn't comfortable living with him anymore. I told him that I hated the way our lives had turned out and that I couldn't keep living with his mom always around. I said I wanted to separate. He sent me a lot of angry texts. Carol sent some too, but I haven't opened any of hers. It feels great knowing that I can just delete them. Mark was furious. He called me horrible names, said awful things. That made me cry. When he asked me if I wanted a divorce, I told him that having to sleep in the same bed as him, to feel his touch, made me realize I didn't love him anymore. I actually felt disgusted by him. He then said that either I was cheating and accidentally got pregnant, or I was just fundamentally broken as a person. Honestly, I kind of agree with him. It's strange to fall out of love so quickly, but I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm just not well. By then, Mark had been demanding that I give him and Carol updates on the pregnancy every day. But by that point, I was sure I wanted an abortion, and I had to act fast. I won't go into the details of what happened, but I do want to thank everyone who gave me advice. It really helped me. One of the first pieces of advice I received was to have someone with me when I went to get the procedure done. When I showed up at the clinic, the receptionist told me I needed Dan's written consent, and that sent me into a panic. I couldn't think straight. But after getting some more advice from people here, I reached out to groups that help women in tough situations, and one of them connected me with a volunteer who stayed with me throughout the procedure. She explained that it wasn't legal for them to ask for Dan's consent, and they use all kinds of tricks to delay women. Without her, I would have been totally lost. I'm so thankful for that. Many people told me I should keep the baby, that wanting the abortion was just a trauma response, and that I'd regret it. But to be honest, I don't feel guilty. Even though I still feel sick physically, I felt a huge relief mentally after the procedure. I thought the divorce would be the key to ending my panic, but it turns out it was ending the pregnancy that helped me the most. It might sound harsh, but I'm being honest. If I was reacting out of trauma, this baby didn't deserve a mother like that. I'm just not in the right state to be a parent, and after everything with Carol, I am certain she doesn't deserve to raise any children either. I was emotional at the time, but now I know she's just like my parents, controlling and manipulative. I should have recognized it earlier, but I need to think about it more before I can really understand why I didn't see it. I sent Mark a text saying I'm no longer pregnant, and for now, I'm ignoring his calls and texts. I can't handle it. All of our friends are really his friends, and Carol blasted my pregnancy all over Instagram without asking me first. So now, everyone knows that I was pregnant and probably knows that I terminated the pregnancy. Some of my friends, mostly the women, reached out to me after I moved, offering support, but now no one texts me. 2 of them even unfollowed me. I knew it was coming, and I'm okay with it. I've never had many friends, but I do miss having someone to talk to. I feel a little sad about it, but these people aren't my true friends, and I have to let them go.